Welcome to a platform where we debate on the top stories of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and other leagues with the best in the world of sports. You'll also get interviews with many athletes and media talents at several basketball events, including the WNBA and college basketball. My name is Rafiq Ulazon, and this is Nothing But That Sports Talk.
McCain shows it. And taken away by Middlebrooks.
What a job he's been doing, this kid.
Get it up the floor. O'Connell steps into it. Splash!
They've had trouble stopping Burns.
Yeah, how do you stop this kid? Look at his drop step.
Burns, too easy.
He owns it.
Morrow with 12 points, 12 rebounds, playing in her first Elite Eight game. Clark, again!
Madison Hayes all the way around. Hitting Isaiah James, she relocates and hits a three again.
Yeah, Final Four fever in the air as I welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk with Rafiq Ulazon alongside Ryan Walker, and welcome back, Patrick Pollard.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Ryan, I understand you have a little bit of announcement, hence the background that I have right here. So you go ahead.
Yeah. I need to get this quick promo in so we could, when we send this card out, we can sport it on the page, man. This Saturday, Championship Saturday, Winter Pro-Am vibes. You see my man Feek, I'll put that board up there. Crunchtime basketball in Long Island. So we got a goodie out there. Team JFK versus Gas Wars. We got a lot of hitters in the building. JFK will be there coaching. Brent Jones will be there. Kedar, a.k.a. Superman. Everybody knows Kedar from Brooklyn. Dominique Domino Jones. J.J. Moore, who played Westchester Knicks. George Beeman, Manhattan Jaspers. Ant White. You name it. Happy Feet going to be coaching on the other side. Izo, the coach for Gas Wars. It's star-studded Swerve. Oh, you see the background there. It's star-studded. We have an all-star game. At first at 6, the championship game 7:38. So this Saturday, guys, 5600 Old Sunrise Highway, Massapequa, New York. Me and Slim will be announcing the championship game. It's going to be big, so please come and support Crunchtime. You're going to see a good show, good camaraderie. We got vendors, beverages, food. Chef Reem will be there. Rose Catering will be there. So it's going to be a good day. Make sure everybody shows out for that in Massapequa and Long Island. We have a big show. And the other promo too is I will be tomorrow at Nassau Coliseum with the 5 a.m. Brotherhood. I'll be announcing on that parquet floor for their championship. So that's big time for me too. But crunch time, we got everything going. So 5 a.m. Brotherhood tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. They got a great movement. What they doing? We'll be at Nassau Coliseum for their championship game and look forward to the future as they keep building. They'll have a summer league thing going on as well, too. 16 teams have already said they want to be a part of it, and they've already given me the call back to come back and do my thing and rock my show. And as I was just talking, I got a call for NYC LI, and that's a whole different thing, May 27th. So the Voice of Strong Island is working. I'm out here and trying to change the culture and change the platform from Long Island for what I do in general. And Crunch Time Basketball Saturday, 5 a.m. Brotherhood. The Friday, why not?
Exactly. That's how you build up for basketball events, Ryan. Pretty good job with the promos, everything. And I love everything you do for Crunch Time and the fact that you're building the basketball platform to get to as high as it could be.
Yeah, I plan on being at Crunch Time on Saturday too, as we mentioned before and discussed like a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, there's only 2 games. There's only 6 and 7, so you're going to IS8. Then
yeah.
I'm
gonna start off at IS8. Yeah,
I don't know. I'll talk to you more off air, but I mean, it depends on how I feel after I finish the game tomorrow with the Brotherhood, on whether I'm going to stay in Hempstead or make the caveat and just go to Queens and be there. Or whatever I do, I'm gonna go to IS8 early in the morning, catch the first one, and then no later than 11 o'clock, 11:15, I got to be out the gym. The kids have an Easter egg hunt thing to go to, and it's from 12 to 4. And once the Easter egg hunt thing is over, I have to leave to go to Massapequa. So you let me know what you're going to do from there. It's actually the Easter egg hunt thing is down the block at Archie Springer Park, which is near MTG, which is like at 113th. So
yeah, so we should be able to meet up because IS8 should be over by about 4 o'clock. So we should be able to meet up.
So
Oh, okay. Wait to discuss
just
a little Easter egg, but wait to discuss a little Easter plans or post-Easter plans, I should say, since Easter already passed. But you know what? We're in the month of April. Easter is the holiday for children, so we gotta get back. You gotta make the kids happy.
Yeah, they pushed the thing back, foreshadowing the rain. So that's why it wasn't last weekend. You know, this rain has just been quite interesting.
Yeah, the
But we're
rain's
gonna
been
rock at it.
ridiculous the past couple of weeks. I mean, well, I'm not gonna say what I was doing last week, but what I will tell you is something non-sports related. You guys already know what I was doing. I'm not gonna get into that. I mean, the rain was tough last week and the rain was tough this week. And that's pretty much all I gotta say about that. All right.
Absolutely.
Now we get to the rest of the topics to talk about the show. And Ryan, I know you say you were done talking about this, but it's good to have an updated conversation about it after what happened last weekend as well. Obviously,
I can talk about anything. I'm not
Final Four
nervous.
for the men's side is coming up, and sadly, Duke's not in it. You know why? Because they got upset by North Carolina State. And Patrick and Ryan, before you say anything, let's just get Patrick.
I'm not going to say anything. You're talking to you brought somebody on the show that knows more sports than me, so I'm going to just sit and listen.
Let's see what Patrick.
Well, that's good.
About watching.
That's good that you finally. That's good that you finally admitted that. You know, sure. the last time I really should have been on your last broadcast, man, because I watched the whole broadcast. You know, Rafiq sent me the link and everything, so I watched the entire broadcast, and basically almost the entire broadcast was about me, except I wasn't there to defend myself. But like the whole broadcast was just about me. But
that's false. But go ahead. But you can continue.
Now here's the thing. Now, and because I'm gonna be discussing this
exactly
Duke nonsense.
Why would you say that St. John's saying versus Duke? I know we talked about this over the phone, but we had to get it on the air.
Okay, yeah. See, and this is what separates me from other people. I'm not just a basketball fan. I'm also a basketball historian. It's a difference between just being a basketball fan and a basketball historian. I'm not just a basketball fan. I love basketball, obviously. I love sports in general. But I'm also a basketball historian. Now, as I told you before, in the early days of when college basketball was popular, and actually college basketball was here before the NBA. So college basketball was more popular than the NBA was. A lot of people don't know that. But for instance, the NBA didn't even start until the first season of the NBA started in 1947. That was the first year of the NBA. Prior to 1947, there was no such thing as an NBA. But college basketball started getting very, 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 very popular in the 1920s. Okay, and basically there were 4 schools that were the pioneers and pillars of college basketball. St. John's being one of them, UCLA, Kansas, and Kentucky. Those 4 schools is everybody's daddy. Those 4 schools. Those 4 schools right there are the reason why college basketball was put on the map. And like I said, in the early days, all the way up until like the mid 60s, college basketball was still bigger than the NBA, was making more money. Now, the NIT was there before there was an NCAA tournament. The NIT was making more money than the NCAA, a lot more money. The NIT had more sponsors. The NIT was the big ticket. It was not the NCAA. The NCAA didn't get itself. So
are you educating us, or are you educating the viewers?
I'm educating y'all and the viewers and everybody else.
You're not, because the 2 people that you're speaking to know this, but you're telling this to the viewers.
I don't think you do.
Continue. No, I know I do. I'm telling you that, but you're educating the viewers, so you keep giving this dissertation that you've ran around your point again. So continue, because I know But my sarcasm was, Patrick, we've talked about all this, whether you want to believe it or not. You know sports, but me and you are on two different stratospheres. There are sports that I cover that I know about that you have no idea about. But continue to educate the viewers on college basketball, because you're not educating us. Continue.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm educating y'all.
You're not. You're not. Did you hear what he said? So now you're speaking to him. We're not talking crazy.
Y'all was talking crazy last week, man. 2 weeks ago.
Continue and finish. I want to hear you finish.
So like I said,
this is gonna be a 5-hour show. I see where it's going. Go ahead.
All the way up into the mid '60s, really like the NCAA started to really get itself into gear in like the mid to late 50s, early 60s. But prior to that, the NIT was running the yard. NIT was making way more money than NCAA was making. They had way more sponsors. It was way more prestigious. So everybody wanted, the best teams wanted to compete in the NIT. So St. John's, being one of the pillars of the sport, had won multiple titles in the NIT because they chose to play, because you had a choice. You could play in the NCAA tournament or the NIT tournament. The bigger schools picked the NIT tournament. So St. John's played the NIT tournament and won the national championship in NIT multiple times. And then what happens is, finally, by the late 50s, like mid to late 50s to early 60s, the NCAA started to get their self together. They started to get more sponsors, okay? Because really it's the money that dictates everything, okay? So because the NCAA started to get more sponsors, by that point in time, the NCAA started to increase and the NIT started to decrease. Okay, so anyway, so to get to Duke, so here's where Duke comes in. Duke, up to that point, was completely irrelevant. As a matter of fact, Duke didn't become relevant at all until 1990. That was the first year that Duke was actually relevant. Prior to 1990, no one gave a damn about Duke because Duke didn't do anything. Duke became relevant somewhat in 1990 because Duke played UNLV in the championship game, the 1990 championship game, a game that UNLV smacked Duke around, by the way, got ran off the court, okay?
Beat them the next year, but go ahead.
Okay, and then the next year, then Duke finally won its first championship, 1991, okay? Now, by then, St. John's had won multiple championships by then.
Can I ask you a question for 1 second?
Yeah,
just to interject? Can I ask you a question to interject?
Yeah,
How many national championships does St. John's have now? How many national championships have they, for the viewers? How many national championships don't give me your opinion, give me the actual number. How many national championships has St. John's won?
Well, St. John's won.
Oh, gee, you see, this is why we can't do this. This is why we can't do this.
Can I answer?
I just need a number. No, I need a number. It's either yes or can you take your kids to school tomorrow? Give me the number. Don't give me a dissertation. Give me the number and then go back to your original story.
You want an answer? I'm giving you the answer.
How many national championships has St. John's won?
St. John's won 3 NIT championships, which were national championships.
No, national championships.
Since the NIT is a national championship.
The New York Giants have 10 world championships. That's not Super Bowls. We only have 5 Super Bowls. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Super Bowls. 4 Super Bowls. So we do not have the most championships. The world championships for that do not count. They're there, but they're not equivalent to what is the big game.
Okay, listen. Who the heck told you? I just told you. I just told you that.
You have none. That's the number.
That is a lie.
That's the number. You have none.
That is a lie.
You have none. You've never won the national championship.
They were runner-up in 1952. They were runner-up in 1952 in the national championship.
Runner-up is second place.
Okay,
They've never won a
I'm
national
not,
championship.
He's talking. All right. What he's talking about. What he's talking about. And apparently
you see how you got to
not
reach?
listening. No, I don't have to. I don't
There's
have to
nothing
reach
to listen
nothing.
to.
I
How
explain.
many? Not
I explain
NIT
this thing very
championships.
clearly.
Not NIT national championships.
Because
How many
NIT
national championships
is
do you
a
have?
national championship.
Zero.
How many
I don't know where
national
you got that from.
championships?
That
How
is a
many
national
national
championship.
championships do you have?
That is a national championship,
I'm
dog.
getting
Have you
NIT.
ever won the?
I get
I
what
don't know
you're
where
saying,
the
but
64 tournament. Have you
I don't
ever
know where
won
you
the
got that.
field of
I don't know where you
64?
got that from. Where
Have
did you get that
ever
from?
won the field of 64?
Utter
Google it.
nonsense.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Utter
Finish your point.
nonsense.
Finish
Okay,
your
first of all,
point.
and that's another thing too. That's another thing that and you said have we ever won the thing of 64? It didn't even become 64 until latter years.
Can you finish your
That's
point?
another thing you don't even know.
You don't give me an answer. So go back to your
I did
original
give
point.
you an answer.
We don't have 6 hours for the show today. We don't. We don't.
I did give you an answer.
No, you said NIT championship.
We
I said how many
daddy.
national?
Okay.
How many national championships?
Duke didn't become relevant until the 90s.
I'm gonna let you talk so we
90s.
can finish this topic and move on.
Prior to the 90s, no one gave a damn about Duke. You didn't become relevant
Johnny
until the 90s.
Dawkins played in the 1980s. Jay Bayless played in the 1980s.
Still wasn't relevant.
Duke has won 5 national
still wasn't
championships.
relevant.
Coach K got there in the 1980s.
That still wasn't relevant.
Coach K got there in the 1980s. And
y'all wasn't relevant.
At that time, we won more national championships than St. John's. Coach K's 1,000 win. Coach K's 1,000 win in MSG against St. John's. Let's see. 5 national championships, none. When's the last time you won the Big East tournament?
2000.
Great. Have a good night. Have a good night. We've outclassed you in regular season titles. We've outclassed you in conference titles. We outclassed you in wins. We have the greatest coach in college basketball history that went to our university. We have 5 national championships. We have over 25 guys in the NBA right now that's making money and feeding their family. And Mo Harkless and all them guys from St. John's are still looking for jobs. You have one dude in the NBA, and you talking to me about pedigree and the same level? We're not even in the same stratosphere. We have no conversation to talk about. You make me not like New York, and I'm from New York, because you trying to really make a point on how St. John's and Duke is in the same stratosphere. No stratosphere. Go check out the class. Go check out the class next year. Go check out the class. They went to the quarter. He went to the semifinals. He went to the. Let me tell you something, Rafi. He went to the semifinals and stood next to me at Crunchtime, obnoxious and loud, trying to prove to himself and everybody that St. John's was going to go to the tournament. And I said nothing to him. And I said, oh, we're going to be a 7 seed. Oh, we're going to be a 10 seed. You know what seed you were? 18th.
Exactly.
Don't talk to me about college basketball, bro. And you ain't got nothing to try to prove with it. That's how much you got to dig. You got to go to the 1800s to try to explain college basketball to the people that know it here. Because you must be doing it for the viewers. You're not doing it for me, bro. We have nothing to talk about. And whenever you want to really, you don't do that. But whenever you want to be a big boy and bet your money when Duke and St. John's play, we can really do that, and we can see who's who and what is what. That's when you put your big boy pants on.
Don't forget, this year,
and I started $100.
Duke made it to the Elite 8.
Come on now. When nobody expected us to do nothing.
They made it to the Elite 8.
Let me tell you the facts about him. He was wishing for us to.
Oh, by the way, you lost to an 11 seed too. Good job. Good job, dude.
It's called the NCAA tournament. Why you
lost to an 11 seed?
Why you don't say it to?
Good job,
why you don't
dude.
say Virginia lost to a 16 seed? Teams lost to a 15. St. John's didn't even go to the tournament. You're a clown.
Okay,
you're
everybody knows.
You're a clown.
Listen,
you need a red nose.
Everybody knows.
You told me they were a 7 seed. You told me they were going to be a 7 seed. That's what you told me.
Everybody knows.
You're Jay Billis. You're Dick Vitale. You know everything about college basketball.
Yeah, stop. Yeah. You're getting emotional now.
No, I'm not. You're a loser. St. John's is a loser.
Now Big Daddy got to talk.
St. John's is a loser.
Big Daddy got to talk.
St. John's is a loser. The Mets are losers.
Quiet down. Big Daddy got
losers, including my Knicks.
Big Daddy got to talk now. Big Daddy got to talk.
Every team you like are losers, including my Knicks. You've never watched any one of your teams win in the last 4 years.
You're getting emotional.
I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm talking to somebody that's delusional. I'm talking to somebody that's delusional.
But let
Please,
me
I'll get
let
him.
me let me just
Appreciate
let
you,
me
brother.
just
Take
wrap
care.
this. Let me just wrap this stuff
Please
up
wrap it up because we don't have 6 hours to be here
this
for your
is-
soliloquy on college
this
basketball.
is what happens. This is what happens when folks start getting emotional and stuff.
No,
So
no.
now,
Oh, so hold on. Before you do that, hold on. Before you say something, before you say something, hold on. Before you finish your point, I told him, Rafi, 2 weeks ago that Duke is going to go to the Sweet 16, and after the Sweet 16, they're going to lose because I don't expect them to win the national championship. They do not have a national championship team, even though anything can happen in March. What he did was he texted me the day of the tournament when Kentucky lost, thinking that we were going to be Kentucky, and said, Duke is next. I never said anything to him. I let him rock. We won the first game. He didn't text me then. He didn't say anything. We won the second game. We went to the Sweet 16. Thursday comes, oh, you're going to lose to James Madison. The upset is coming now. They won 14 straight. We beat James Madison and almost qualified for the Final Four when nobody expected that to happen. And I realistically told you when we were going to lose. You tried to sit and wait for the downfall. See, that's the difference between somebody who's a smart realist. I like Duke, and I told you after the Sweet 16, they're going to lose, and they overachieved by getting one more win. But you like to come on the show when it benefits you because you didn't want to come the weeks before when it didn't make sense for you. And by the way, the Mets just won today.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna make me curse on my own show. But go ahead, figure out what you want to say now, so we can say what you want to say.
Whoa.
I know they won today, but the Mets are not the topic of the show.
They're not on the show, and they're definitely irrelevant.
Hold on.
They're definitely irrelevant.
Wait,
No, Stretch. Finish your topic about
wait.
college. I'm done talking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Big Daddy's talking now. Be quiet because you ain't saying nothing.
Big Daddy with no
Big
championships.
Daddy.
How you gonna be? Big Daddy gotta have money.
your
You can't
daddy.
have no money and take care of your kids. I never seen a daddy take care of their kids with no money. Go
We
ahead.
your daddy, okay?
Go
we
ahead.
always gonna be your daddy too.
Syracuse
Syracuse
won a national championship, and you still waiting.
Had it not been for St.
Hall
John's,
won the NIT tournament
there
for
would
the
be
And they
no
still
Duke.
waiting.
Yeah, had it not been for St. John's, there would
Thank
be no
you.
crappy
Thanks.
ass team like
No,
Duke.
thank you.
Like
I appreciate
anyone
it.
gives a damn.
I appreciate you
Now,
for
I
making
want
us
you to
win
remember
5
something.
national championships.
I
25
want you
guys
to-
in the NBA.
I want you to remember something. There's 3 words that I want you to remember. Okay? There's 3 words that I want you to remember.
How do you got to repeat the same
Regarding
thing 4
the-
times? Say it.
Okay, regarding the future of St. John's, you will see the resurrection. You will see, you will see resurrection. You will see redemption, and you will see reinstatement. That's what's coming up because Rick Pitino's here now.
Good luck to you. I wish you the
Rick
best.
Pitino's in town.
I'm not a hater. I wish you the best of luck.
Rick Pitino is in town, and you know we're gonna be running the yard, son.
I wish you the best of luck.
back.
I'm from
We're
New York.
gonna be
I want New
right
York to
back
do
to the
well.
glory days, my man.
What glory
And
days?
I hope we get Duke on that schedule.
Bet your money, though.
I want Duke so bad.
Bet your money.
You
Bet
just
your money.
don't know why.
Bet your money.
You just don't know
Bet your
why. I
money.
want
$150
Duke
starting.
in the garden too.
I got
and me and you gonna
$150
sit right next
starting.
to each other too.
I got $150 starting. I'm not sitting nowhere with you.
No, we're sitting right next to each other, my man.
I got $150
You ain't running
starting.
and hiding like a little worm like you're gonna do,
I'm not
like you're
paying for
doing
no
now.
tickets to
you
go
wanna
with
run
you.
and hide.
Do you want to
You
bet?
ain't gonna run and
Do
hide
you
no
want to
more,
bet?
my man.
Do you want to bet money?
Me and you gonna
Grown
be
men
sitting
respect
right
money.
there, right next to each other.
Talk
Looking
to me when
eye
you
to
got-
eye, my man.
Talk to me when you want to bet $150 starting.
If you want to do that, we can do that too. But me,
So it's a bet. I'm gonna lock you in for it.
Okay. Let's settle down, gentlemen.
I'll lock you in for $150.
Let's settle down.
You gonna be sitting right next to each other, my man.
Let's settle down.
It ain't gonna go the way you want it to.
I got $150. We don't got to talk no more.
Okay.
We'll see what happens the next time we play. Don't get coochie foot when it's there. Put your money out.
Let's transition to the next topic as we got the men's Final Four coming up, and after NC State took out Duke, do they gonna have a shot and reach the national championship against either the winner of UConn and Alabama. So, what are your overall impressions about this Final Four, Ryan?
It's phenomenal. This is what the tournament is about. It's for everybody to have an opportunity, and you got 4 good programs in there. UConn looks like a perennial juggernaut, but you got a lot of good teams. NC State is playing phenomenal basketball.
Yeah. They're playing Purdue.
Well, I'm just talking about the whole perplexion of all the 4 teams that are in there and their opportunities. The North Carolina State is extremely hot. They've been playing good basketball. They've actually been in a transition the last 2-3 years. And I'm an ACC fan, so I can tell you that. So this is not an aberration of what they're doing. They were actually solid last year, but now this year, they played very well in the regular season. The ACC is still good, but it's not as powerhouses with the big dogs like the Dukes and the North Carolina, so on and so forth. So as you can see, the Clemsons have went in there this year and done very well. The NC States and so on and so forth. They have a chance just like everybody else to win it. They have a big fella in the perimeter that's playing great basketball right now. They're making perimeter shots. They're hot. They believe in each other. And that's all you need in the tournament. Purdue's also there. They've had some interesting up and down years in the NCAA tournament, but they're in the Final Four now. Zach Edey's a big-time presence for them in the paint. They got defenders and shooters. They have a hell of an opportunity. And like I said, who else is there? Is that Alabama as well,
Alabama.
Alabama, the Crimson Tide, playing phenomenal. I don't want to say they can't do it because they've been slaying a lot of giants in this tournament, but UConn is going to be a very uphill battle. For my mortgage money, I'm going to say that UConn is probably going to back-to-back and win. They're really, 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 really good. But this is March Madness. Anything can happen. As we talked about, higher seeds can beat lower seeds. 16s have beat 1s. 15s have beaten 2s. It's March. Anything can happen. And God bless all of those kids. And they have a great weekend. And we see what happens. And I mean, my consensus pick is UConn, but any 4 of these teams in a few days can be the national champion.
That's a fact. And let's not forget, UConn's got done 5-6 times already. They're going up against Alabama, who at one point is like literally a football school, but their basketball one, they're giving themselves a shot at a national championship. They just need to win against UConn or the winner of NC State and Purdue. Which shouldn't be that hard, right? They beat North Carolina, but they were one of the top teams in the tournament.
One matchup is different from the next, right?
Yeah. And NC State, you know what? What I would have loved for happen is that both UConn and NC State face off in the men's and women's tournaments for the national championship. That would make headlines. I mean,
a lot of money too.
Clark balling the hell out, and Angel Reese announcing in the Vlog magazine that she will be coming to the WNBA.
Wait, hold on. Before we go to Angel Reese, you skipping over me.
I didn't forget you. I was just finishing my point, but what are your thoughts on the Final Four matchups, Patrick?
Yeah, man, don't forget Big Daddy. Big Daddy's in the house. See, 2 weeks ago, it was just you 2 children running around, running your mouths, talking nonsense. Now, today, Big Daddy's here now. Big Daddy's here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so here's what Big Daddy has to say. You know, prior to the 90s, I always thought that the lowest forms of life on planet Earth was an amoeba and a paramecium. You know, prior to the 90s, that's what I thought. I grew up thinking that an amoeba and a paramecium were the lowest forms of life on planet Earth. But then, after the 90s, I started to meet Duke fans, UConn fans.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the Final Four.
Yankee, I'm getting. You're gonna hear. I started to be Yankee fans, Atlanta Braves fans, and then I came to the realization that there are actually lower forms of life than a paramecium and an amoeba, and it was those fan bases that I just met. So, in my heart of hearts, and it pains me to say this, but I think UConn is going to wind up winning this thing back to back, which I really don't want to see him do. But
you don't want to see UConn? UConn's part of Tri-State. Oh my God, You got respect for the tradition. They're the basketball capital. They're the basketball capital of the world for a reason. UConn is the basketball capital of the world for a reason.
May I ask you a question, Patrick?
I don't like.
Why don't you like UConn? Like, what is? I mean, I know why, but I want to hear your reason.
Because they're fans. It's really their fans and their coach. First of all, their coach is mad annoying.
Don't do that.
Is mad annoying.
Which coach? Mr. Hurley? Mr. Hurley?
Yeah, him. And
so
their fans.
I guess Jim Calhoun too, right? And Kevin Ali. You're saying the same thing. They're all low lives, right? I'm just saying. You said from the '90s, and I'm just going back to all coaches.
Well, and it's really their fans that I really don't like. I mean, I've been dealing.
Why don't you like the fans? Because they've win and they've won, and because they've won, anytime you have a team that wins, they're going to gloat and talk over more than what it is. Yeah. This is what I think I'm grasping. I think that you're a little jealous because UConn has had more success in the Big East, left the Big East and came back, has had more success in the Big East than St. John's has. And because of that, I think that seems like it bothers you and why you don't like UConn fans, and they're in your same conference. So that's why I mean, for me, it seems like why you would, and I pray that, I mean, I know you anyway, so I know that amoeba stuff is a joke. Like, you're just saying that, you know, I pray that you're not calling me an amoeba and a parasite. So I'm an amoeba and a parasite? We're going to talk off the air about this. But anyway, so that's why you don't like UConn, because they've had more success than you. And that's really pretty much it. And I get it. They're in your conference, you know, so, you know, that's why you should have that disposition. But anybody else that's more successful than the team that you don't cheer for, you don't like. And you know, it's so crazy, and I want you to stick on college. The rest of the world thinks that Mets fans are obnoxious, which I've told you about a lot, but you don't grasp that because you are a Mets fan. So, you know, it's fine though, but I don't transition to baseball. Go back to your UConn point and speak. It's your floor.
Yeah, so I think that UConn is going to have the upper hand because the other three teams that's playing in this thing don't cause matchup problems for them. I don't think like, I thought a team that could have been a dark horse that could have beaten UConn was Auburn. I thought Auburn matched up to them well, but these teams that's in there now, I don't think NC State matches up to them well. I don't think Purdue matches up to them. I don't think Alabama matches up to them well either. I think they have very big advantages over either one. They should be able to run either one of those teams right off the court. I don't even think those teams are going to play them well, to be honest with you.
But you know what's so crazy?
I think they're going to beat them by a pretty big margin. I don't think those games are going to be
close.
UConn's
the best team in college basketball and the best talent, so they should. You're right about that, and you're astute. And we both, I'm agreeing too. I think UConn should win it all. I think they're the better team. The only thing that I can say gives those other guys a chance is that it's March, and anything can happen in March. Sometimes you don't play your best ball, and a team there have been many teams in this tournament that have been the better team and have not won, especially when it's a one-game situation. So yes, UConn by far, like you said, like we said, like we all agree on, is by far the better team in this tournament. And if they play to their capabilities, they should beat every team by 10 to 15 points. I believe UConn has not, their point differential margin this year is 10 points. They've never lost by under 10 points unless the last one was close. It's been 10 or blowouts with this team. So that is supposed to be definitely the scenario, but it is March.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's fair March. To say that it's March. It's not a 7-game series like the NBA or maybe like, and even baseball so quick. It's a 1-game situation in March.
Yep, it's definitely a 1-game situation. I mean, the men's. I mean, we still expect some intense matchups. Get that out the screen, please. Get that out the screen, please. I like St. John's, but get that out. Go away. Get out the screen, please.
Yeah, see, I got my Rick Pitino voodoo doll on me. You see that? Got my voodoo doll.
Yeah, that's the same voodoo he was
There
using
you
in
go.
Louisville when he had them boys bring them strippers in the dormitory and got expelled and took the money and did all that stuff. But listen, when you can't win,
Yeah.
listen,
That's my voodoo
if you ain't
doll right
trying to
there.
cheat, if you ain't trying to cheat, you're trying to win. You learned the model. You got to bring in a coach that can get some money and do some things the wrong way. Because clearly that's what Patino does. I should have known he's from Long Island. Long Island people are very crooked.
I know you nervous. I know you nervous now,
Nervous
boy.
about what? Come on, bro. Patrick, you're a joke. You're a joke. We got the #1 class coming into the nation next year. We got the #1 player coming in the nation. Nervous for what?
What do St. John's
Nervous for what?
I know you nervous.
Let's keep it real.
Who's coming in next year for St. John's? What's your recruiting class?
You'll see.
Yeah, you don't even know. You don't even know.
Guys coming in.
You don't even know.
All right.
We got the #1 pick in the draft coming next year.
All right. On to the women's.
Yeah, another future bust.
25 guys in the NBA. How many
like,
guys from St. John's in the NBA?
He's going to be just like a la El Del Nabi. How'd that work out?
How many pros
work out?
How many St. John's pros are in the NBA now?
Work out?
How many he made money and he went to the NBA? How many pros are from St. John's in the NBA right now?
Oh my God.
1 pro from St. John's. We have 25 people making money and feeding their families.
Yeah, and they're gonna be
like
cut
this.
like the next year, like
name
Zion.
1 basketball player that went to St. John's that's better than Kyrie Irving.
Oh yeah, what?
Name 1 basketball player that went to St. John's that's better than Kyrie Irving.
Oh, I can
have a good night. No, you cannot. 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 No, you cannot.
Guys.
How about Dick McGuire?
He's not better than. He's better than. Bro, don't say that in no barbershop. You're gonna get shot at.
Much better.
Never.
Much better. I just
Kyrie Irving is an NBA champion Hall of Famer. NBA champion Hall of Famer.
Those guys that I just named are in the Hall of Fame, brother. You know that, right?
NBA champion Hall of Famer.
Those guys that I just
and that's
those guys
just
I just mentioned,
I'm being nice.
They're in the Hall of Fame. Kyrie Irving's not in the Hall of Fame just yet. I think he will be, but he's not in the Hall of Fame just yet.
No, he's going to go. Don't worry about that. He's going to go.
Guess what? Those guys I just mentioned, they're there.
They're 900 years old. They should be in the Hall of Fame. They had a chance to qualify 300 years ago. Next topic, Rafiq.
Yeah, and one other thing. Being your man Zion is not going to be in the league much longer. Please tell him don't have any more kids with no strippers.
Just
stop it with the kids.
And I keep telling you about that on a serious note. We're talking sports. You keep saying that, and like, yo, bro, if you have no kids, but if you want to be a father, you should go help these people. And coming from somebody that has no kids, coming from somebody that has no kids and knows nothing about parenting and fatherhood, you should probably keep those comments to yourself. That's just my personal opinion.
Apparently, I know more about fatherhood than his own daddy.
Oh,
where the heck is his daddy?
Cold.
I ain't going.
His own daddy don't know about fatherhood.
All right, on to the next. All right, let's just calm this down and transition to the next topic, which is the women's Final Four. I mean, obviously, you probably saw an interview with DJ Duke yesterday. Then we talk about how the women's game is literally rising to the occasion. I mean, come on now. We saw one of the best matchups against the tournament take place last week, which was a rematch of last year's national championship, where Iowa slaughtered LSU. And then you had that emotional post-game press conference where Angel Reese talks about how she dealt with a lot of sexist and verbal attacks during her career ever since she won a national championship last year. And the players spoke up for her, even though she was the one that got asked the question by Erica Ayala. Shout out to her. She asked the question that led to Angel Reese saying those comments. Now she's about to come to the WNBA. But what are your overall thoughts on the women's Final Four? Is it pretty much the same opinion as the men's, or do you think it's going to be any different? Especially when you got UConn facing Iowa, which is a rematch of, I believe it was the Sweet 16 like 2 or 3 years ago. And also, you had
3 years ago
for the women's side taking on South Carolina.
Well, you know what? I think. Well, first of all, I don't describe as Iowa was slaughtering LSU. That game was not no slaughter. They only won by like 10 or 11 or 12 points. So that's not a slaughter.
Knocking down 3. She put up 41 points.
I know, but that's still not a slaughter. The game was still like a close game.
Yeah, it was. To be fair, it was.
For the most part, that game. Matter of fact, had Angel Reese not got hurt in that first, remember Angel Reese got hurt in the first half of that game, and up to that point, LSU had the lead. Once Angel Reese got hurt, that is when that game changed.
That is true. Me and Sean Taylor reacted to that via text messages all game.
Yeah, so I mean, so no, I mean, I really like Angel Reese. I love Angel Reese. Angel Reese is a. I wish Angel Reese the best. I really was pulling for LSU to win it again because I love Angel Reese. You know, I wonder where Angel Reese hides her angel wings. You know, I love Angel Reese. I was pulling for her. She's a great role model. I don't mind the trash talking at all. I like the trash talk. I'm a trash talker too, so I don't mind folk trash talking.
Clearly.
And Catilin Clark, she's a trash talker too. I don't mind that. Catilin Clark is a very, very good player. She has very good range. You know, even though her shot looks awkward, but she has very good range. But another thing too, though, with Catilin Clark, they need to stop making these comparisons between her and Pistol Pete and these other people whose records that they broke. Because first of all, when Pistol Pete was playing, there was no such thing as a three-pointer. That's the first thing. You know how many points Pistol Pete would have had if there was three-pointers back in his day? He would have had like 7,000 points on the college level if there was three-pointers, as with the kind of range that he had. So you can't compare the two. Like let's compare Catilin Clark's field goals to Pistol Pete's field goals. Let's see if those numbers are anywhere near. I bet you they aren't. But getting back to the Final Four, at this point, South Carolina really has to be the favorite. You know, they're undefeated. No one's been able to beat them the entire year. I mean, nobody's been able to beat them. So, and another thing too is looking at the teams that's left, I don't really think that any one of these teams are really causing matchup problems with them. You know, that's one of the first things that I look at is how does your team match up with the opposing teams? And I don't really think that neither one of those three teams is a matchup problem for South Carolina. Because South Carolina could go inside and they could go outside too. So I think if South Carolina is a heavy favorite, I think they should be a heavy favorite.
Mm-hmm.
It's justified.
Don Staley, one of the greatest coaches in women's basketball, outside of Tara and Gino Auriemma.
Yeah, she was a good player. A lot of times, people that were really great players and stuff are terrible coaches. I don't know why. I know it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things. But most of the guys that were great players, it's rare that the guys that were great players also became great coaches. But I guess she's an exception to that rule, because she, as you remember. Well, I mean, Dawn Staley was like back when she was in college, man. You was wearing diapers, but I remember watching Dawn Staley play when she was in Virginia over 30 years.
Who was wearing diapers, Rafiq or me?
Yeah, Rafiq.
Okay.
Yeah, Rafiq. You're only 32, right?
Yeah, don't say my age on the air, but yes, I am.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, bro. Are you working for the feds, Patrick?
Yeah. So Dawn Staley's last year in college was in 1992. Yeah, so yeah, you might not have even been born yet. Her last year was 92. I remember watching her last game. I remember because Virginia had made it to the championship game. I remember watching that game over 32 years ago.
Who does South Carolina have to play in the Final Four?
What did you say?
South Carolina's facing NC State.
USC? NC State. Okay, pardon me.
Yeah. Oh, man, I tell you, man, how the heck does NC State have two teams in the Final Four? It's beyond me.
Same way UConn does. God bless them.
Nah, I know, but UConn was expected to win. Like, who saw NC State coming?
Whenever it's March, it's hard to see certain things for everybody. That's another thing that I keep trying to drill on the show into you per se, where March Madness in college basketball is where magic and mystique happens. So the things that you think that can't happen will happen. And God bless North Carolina State as a school and an institution for being in that position to, more power to them. I'm not a hater. I wish they would be as successful as they can because that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. So God bless NC State and UConn for that. I personally have, it's so crazy. I mean, I'm just gonna go with Iowa because I think UConn can actually beat Iowa. That's my personal opinion. But I guess for consensus and for the mortgage, I'll go Iowa and of course South Carolina. I think they are so prepped and they have one or two guards that are so young and have a lot of bright future there. And Dawn Staley, just like you said, she was such a you're right, where most of the time in all sports, greatness with players doesn't necessarily matriculate to greatness in either being ownership or general manager, or greatness in players doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be great in something else as a coach, or if your offspring can be great per se. But Dawn Staley is one of those that's the exception to the rule. And she's leading those Lynn ladies for the last couple of years just to do phenomenal, incredible things. We talk about a leader, that's definitely Dawn Staley. So it would be very nice to see her as an African-American male too, win another national championship and continue to set the bar for what it is. But, like you said, everybody has a pony in the race. You got Iowa with Miss Caitlin, who's just absolutely incredible. You got UConn with Paige and the girls, and Gino, who's always makes sure for the last 30-something years that how good of a program they've been. And NC State is another one that's the buzzsaw riding high. Who are we to say? But South Carolina and Dawn and them are there too. So I do know this much on both sides, men and women, the Final Four will be must-see TV.
Yeah, but what about the matchups? How do you think those other three teams match up to South Carolina? What do you think? How do you think they match up?
Well, meaning like man
for man.
You know what? I mean, UConn has actually a little bit more depth, so I think they can match up per se, even though South Carolina is star-studded. But I'm not trying to belittle your point too, Pat. Here's the biggest thing. It is so hard in this tournament to go off matchups because, bro, if we do that, Kentucky's supposed to still be playing, right?
No,
Michigan State,
Kentucky's overrated.
Why do we have to fight about this?
Flat. They've been falling flat for the last decade.
Forget
it, Pat. Forget it. I don't know how they're going to match up, Pat.
Kentucky's overrated and underachieving.
Pat, I don't know, Pat.
Kentucky's overrated, underachieving, man.
South Carolina and UConn. That's what I see for the women's game.
Yeah, you got a point. I mean, there's no getting past the win tradition of UConn, but obviously,
South Carolina and Iowa.
With Catilin Clark having her revenge tour, she's hungry for that championship after what happened last year. And South Carolina's going to give them that work.
I don't do matchups in a tournament because it's hard to do matchups on a one-game situation.
I mean, logically, it's going to go down between Iowa and South Carolina. But what I would prefer, and Ari, you're going to love me for this, NC State versus UConn for the men's and women's national championship.
Ooh, that would be crazy! Wow.
Yeah, that would be kind of crazy, man. That would be.
Get past the whole war that's going to happen in national championships. We'll really determine which of these schools is the most winningest tradition ever. I mean, obviously it's UConn, but going forward, will UConn add to the win tradition, or will North Carolina State start building up theirs? That's something you have to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
that would be kind of crazy, though, man. That would be, man. Wouldn't that be crazy?
For this, it would be crazy. If they're playing for the spirit of Jim Valvano.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All we could do is just envision it. But yeah. On to the very next topic. Julius Randle's out for the season with a shoulder injury. Yeah, that's not a good blow. Even though the Knicks showed that they can still rack up wins and they play well with guys out. And I told you this a year ago with Julius Randle injuries. The ball moves so well when Julius Randle's not playing. And you clearly saw that in the win tonight against the Sacramento Kings. Now they may not defeat the Boston Celtics in the playoffs, but they showed that they can still get wins.
Listen,
So
I was saying,
Patrick, calm down. Let Ryan have his thoughts on Julius Randle's season and injury. Was it a surprise or was it not surprising? And how will it impact the Knicks going forward?
You know, boy, New York is a great place to live for sports teams, right? Anytime you think everything is going good, the minute Julius Randle got hurt against the Miami Heat, it's like certain things in my stomach could just drop to the ground. And because everything was going so great for the direction they were trending in, and injuries is a part of sports, so what can we do? But if we could play shoulda, coulda, woulda, if we could have had a healthy squad and the acquisitions they made, who knows what it could have been. But nevertheless, here goes the whole thing. The Knicks I don't see them going anywhere past the second round with everything that just happened now with Julius Randle, regardless. If they're 4-5 and they stay there, if they're fifth seed, I can see them beating Orlando in a 7-game series, even though Orlando, I think, has beat us 2 or 3 games to 1 this regular season. Mm-hmm. Postseason and regular season is not necessarily a direct correlation, but Orlando does have actually a very good young upcoming team. And the Wagner brothers, and for some reason, in Paolo, give us huge mismatch problems. They've torn us apart, but that's neither here nor there. So, but I still think the Knicks can get out that first round. After that, if they have to play the Celtics without Julius Randle and without a healthy, whole, complete roster, they cannot beat the Boston Celtics. You know what I'm saying? So not for the mortgage money in a 7-game series. So now if that injury, that clearly makes them second-round team the most, and if they're not careful, they can go home in the first round. So, but one thing, and when Patrick eventually gets the floor, no matter what the soliloquy on different things that we might have disagreed on, because we're both Knicks fans, that we might have disagreed on this year with the Knicks or agreed on with certain things. One thing that I know that I'm on record for, and I said this to you, Rafiq, is that the longevity of the Knicks' success this year is about health. Mm-hmm. And if they can't get the complete team of what they orchestrated together healthy, they will not have a chance to get to that third round and go from there. So the health is what's going to have them have future success. Now, another thing that I've been grabbing onto, and Pat, just hold on before you interject with this one. Julius Randle is a really, 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 really good player. He's a top, however number he is, but I know 35 and down, Julius Randle is a top 35-30 player in the NBA, right? He's an all-star, all-second NBA team. He can do a lot of things. Came from, I guess that doesn't mean anything because Kentucky is overrated, right? But came from Kentucky and a good program where they produce a lot of pros and make good players. So with that being said, I know he's a good player. Came to the Knicks when nobody really wanted to come here to try to give them a breath of fresh air for the challenge. And has done well. But here goes the theme that is the truth, whether it's unfortunate or not. Every postseason that we've qualified for since he's been there, he's either been hurt. The first year he was hurt when we went to Atlanta Hawks. Then after the postseason, the loss, didn't make excuses, but kind of leaned towards telling the public and media that he was hurt. That's why things went a certain way. We didn't qualify for postseason the next year. The next year we get Brunson. We qualify for postseason. We get to the second round. However, Julius Randle had hurt himself, 8 or 9 games before the season had ended, right? Mm-hmm. And that played a big toll on his play as well, too. And he played through it and he tried to grit and grind. But one of the other excuses was like, well, the reason why I went that way is because I was hurt. Cool. Now this season comes, maybe even in that Miami game when we were up like 16 or 17, maybe it was probably smart if Tom Thibodeau would have just took him out during that time. But if we would have a fifth. He gets hurt, and now we don't have him for the postseason. And this is why I've been quietly saying, as good as he is, that this definitely might be the time to trade him. Because how many more years can we continue to give him $22 million a year and say he's hurt again this year? The Knicks have a chance to try to do something in the next few years in an Eastern Conference that the Celtics and the Bucks are going to be pretty good for the next 2 to 3 years, at least minimum. But they've got to figure that out. Same thing with Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson walks to the water fountain and he's hurt, for crying out loud. They need to figure out that part and get that together. But they're a second-round team only, the max, with what just happened to me, unless Brunson is going to put the whole world in his hands and to have like an astronomical postseason. But it's just going to be very difficult to do it without all the keys. Now, here goes the other point, which you said, Rafiq. They do share the basketball way better without Julius Randle. And another reason why, on top of the injuries that I'm saying eventually to shop him, is because the Knicks have found a way to be competitive and good and still stay in the mix without him. So these are some of the things that now I think they should take into consideration and go from there. And that's my position on it. I don't see them more higher than a second-round team. Even with them, I still have the Celtics coming out the East. The Bucks are starting to defend a little bit better now, so hopefully the Bucks can, because offensively they can score with anybody.
Minnesota to duke it out in the finals.
In the finals.
No,
I got Boston and Denver, and I don't know if I'm sounding just too casual. I'm going with Denver to win back-to-back, even though I know how good Boston is. Denver swept Boston this year, and they're getting back to that top of the thing. So if they're healthy, they swept them.
Yeah, and let's not forget Julius Randle does stink in the NBA playoffs. I mean, his scoring average wasn't that great. I mean, he's obviously
because of injuries.
It's obviously going to get improved over time. In a year from now, when he's playing the entire season, or even if he does have injuries, it doesn't keep him out for 2 or 3 months to the entire year. It's probably going to improve over time. But Julius, right now, we're better off without him anyway. Look at what happened last year's postseason against Miami. I mean, you even put up a decent effort in Game 6 in the second round against the Heat. So, if you start to think about it, it's wishy-washy. Patrick, your thoughts? Because I remember you said that last year's Knicks team is better than this year's team. Did you say that, Ryan? Did you say that?
Yes. He did. Which even with them losing first or second round, I don't believe in that point. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Once again, the prophet must speak. Once again. See,
I believe in the devil.
This is prophet speaking now. See, the two y'all just Norman folk, but I'm not. I'm the prophet. Now, from the very beginning of the summer, I was screaming and angry and belligerent about them trading Obi Toppin. I was saying from the get-go, that was a terrible trade. And now you're seeing the dividends of that terrible trade. And then to make matters worse, they trade R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly for a guy that's not even playing. So I was opposed to these trades vehemently opposed to these trades because we got nothing in return. And now that Julius Randle, I saw that Julius Randle is a good player. He's a very good player. But I also realized that he's an aging player too. So in the back of my mind, I realized and saw, this guy could get hurt. We're going to need a guy that can fill that void, which would have been Obi Toppin. I was like, we really need a guy that could fill that void. So when they made that trade, I saw the domino effects, and now you see. So the season has just been shot to hell because if this team would have stayed intact, this team could have easily made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, very easily. They could have easily made it because let's face it, the East is not as strong as we thought it was. We thought Milwaukee was gonna be a world beater. And they still could be, but something's up with Milwaukee. I don't know what the hell is going on with Milwaukee. I don't know why they fired their previous coach.
They don't guard consistently enough. They don't guard consistently enough.
With the kind of talent that they have on that team, they should be running away with the East. And another thing too, and you remember the prophet said this. the Boston Celtics is not a great team either. They're a game of shadows. Okay, they're just like LeBron James. They're a game of shadows. They're not a Game of Thrones. They're a game of shadows. That Boston, you saw what happened to them last week. They had a 30-point lead against a crappy Atlanta Hawks team. They were up by 30 points and lost that game.
So who's
And
coming
then
out
lost them again.
Who do you
Lost them
have coming out the
back-to-back
Eastern
times.
Conference?
They
Who
lost
do you
to
have
back-to-back times.
I'm asking you a question. Who do you have coming? I'm just asking you because remember we don't know anything. Who do you have coming out the Eastern Conference?
You know what? At this point, I think it's going to be Milwaukee.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair.
I think it's going to be because Boston can't play. Here's the because I've coached teams. Here's the glaring
I did too.
problem.
Go ahead.
Here's the glaring problem. Here's why I'm convinced that Boston is not the real deal. They can't stop a nosebleed. They can't guard anybody. They play absolutely no defense. Zero.
There's about 20 to 30 teams in the league that do the same thing that don't really guard too great neither. But go ahead, continue.
And yes, and this is exactly why I don't think they're gonna win anything. And if they play Denver in the finals again, Denver would sweep them.
Well, I have Denver winning the whole thing. I have Denver winning the whole thing.
I think Denver's gonna win it too. Denver would if they played the Celtics, man. Celtics wouldn't win a single game.
Just being fair,
they're gonna get killed every single night.
You don't. We all agree that Milwaukee is good, but we all agree that Milwaukee's not world beaters, right? That's what you right? Are we all on the same page with that?
Yeah, Milwaukee's underachieving.
All right, so we're on the same page with it, right? They're not great defensively. They're not great defensively. They're up and down on the defensive end, right?
That's the problem with them too. They can't play any defense either. They can't guard.
They're really great offensively, right? They're one of the top teams because they have two prodigy talents that are really great. So, all right. So, if you think Boston is not, I'm just going off what you're saying. If you think Boston is not real, right, with 52 wins and #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and Milwaukee is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? Right? One night Milwaukee can look like
they're underachieving,
right? So they're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? So let's suppose you say I know you picked the Bucks, but based off your analysis, you don't feel too confident in that. So what are you telling me? You're telling me Orlando's going to the finals? Let me see. The Knicks is going. We know the Knicks are not going, right?
The Knicks could have if they didn't make those stupid trades.
We're just talking about who's here current. Stop talking. We're talking about what everybody has now. So nobody in the East is going to the finals then, because if Boston, from what you're saying to the viewers, is not as real as what you think they are, then who is real in the East? Because the Celtics have played the most consistent basketball in the Eastern Conference the whole entire year, and they played some of the most consistent basketball in basketball the whole entire year. So who's real? I'm just asking you.
The East, I just said, the East doesn't have anyone who's real right now, to be honest with you.
All right. So I guess UConn is going to the NBA Finals.
UConn
is going to be the first team from college to go to the NBA Finals.
Oh, man.
I don't know anymore.
The East is wide open at this point.
Boston Celtics are not a real team. Our contender.
That is sad.
I didn't say
sad. Somebody, come on. Boston's clearly broader in the competition prior to those.
Boston.
Let's not forget that. We have to
Boston
give Boston flowers.
has been exposed
in the competition. Even yes, they blow some games, but let's be real, they're on the top of the heap.
They already clinched home court in the East, so
how
it doesn't
do you
really
lose to the Atlanta Hawks?
They're a professional team.
Back-to-back games, and the game where you had a 30-point lead.
Because you're resting your guys because you have the #1 seed.
No, they weren't resting their guys that game. They were not resting their guys.
They've already clinched the Eastern Conference.
They were not resting their guys.
They're being
they were
smart,
not resting
unlike
their
us,
guys that game.
until
Their guys
not playing well their guys.
And lost a 30.
Atlanta's not going anywhere. So what does that mean? Teams lose to bad teams all the time. The Knicks lost to the Spurs the other day.
Spurs last week.
Next to the Spurs.
They lose on. Wait a minute.
They didn't.
You lose to a bad team on back-to-back games?
It happens in the NBA. It happens. It happens. The Lakers beat Boston, right? And LeBron and Anthony Davis didn't play. Things happen.
Exactly.
You know, you lose to bad teams sometimes, unfortunately, in the NBA. This is what I will interject to say, Pat, that and this is my opinion. I do not think that the Knicks. I love RJ Barrett. I was born in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I actually know a lot of the peoples very personally. I actually have a good rapport with Lindell Wington, who's from Canada, who I speak to as well too. So I love RJ Barrett as a kid and a person. I was a big fan and supporter of him when he was at Duke University and in general. I like Emmanuel Quickley. I think Emmanuel Quickley was a very good basketball player. And I would be lying to say when Obi was here, I wasn't fond of Obi. I thought Obi was a decent basketball player. He won a slam dunk contest or a few. He brought a lot of energy and stuff towards New York. With that being said, that team that was composed last year lost in the second round to the Miami Heat, who had one star, not a superstar, one star, and just have a program of a basketball team that has played the right way for the last 25 to 30 years. They know how to build, play, and work and develop players and make it work because they constitute their program on defense, effort, playing with intangibles, passing the ball, and doing the right things. They beat a Knicks team last year where the Knicks were more talented than the Miami Heat, but the Miami Heat were a better collective team. Guys, take care. And we lost to Jimmy Butler, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, and some guys who in 3 years, thank God they signed big contracts, will be playing on the street corner somewhere. Okay? So if the Knicks lose in the first round, which I don't want, but the Knicks lose in the first round, in my opinion, the Knicks team is still better than the team last year. Going farther in playoffs doesn't necessarily mean that one team is better than the next. If you look at the roster of players there now, even with the injuries, and you look at last year's roster and you say that this team is not better than that team, it's just a hard barbershop conversation. Now, with that being said, I think the Knicks will get out of the first round. And if they do lose in the second round, I still think that Knicks team is better than the one last year or equivalent. So let's give it time before you jump on that and go from there. And whether unfortunate or not, here goes the other thing you talk about, the trade. Unfortunately, rest in peace, RJ Barrett's brother passed away. So he hasn't played a lot of games for the Toronto Raptors in the last couple of games. Quickly's been out for also as well, too, with whatever is his emotional thing going on personal reasons, haven't been out for games. And Obi Toppin is a solid player, but here's the things you're not talking about with the negatives with them. RJ Barrett had his struggles with the Knicks and had good times as well, too, right? RJ Barrett regressed on the defensive end last year, right? And the year before, and had some other things. And this is why the Knicks went and picked up Josh Hart and gave Josh Hart a big contract. And whether you believe it or not, Josh Hart is actually picking up the production that RJ Barrett would do for. He's just scoring 5 less points, but he rebounds and does everything else better than RJ Barrett at this point. Next point. I'm not saying he's better than Obi, and I'm not saying Precious Achiuwa, believe it or not, when Randle was out, put up the numbers to actually to compensate for the loss of him going out. On top of Hartenstein played at a higher level because Mitchell Robinson, every time he goes to the water fountain, is out 40 games, right? Deuce McBride, Miles McBride, has replaced the production that Emmanuel Quickley would do. And he's a lot more cheaper because they signed him for a $13 million contract for 3 to 4 years and work hard. Does Deuce McBride shoot the three-point shot well? Yes, he does. Is Deuce McBride a better defender than Emmanuel Quickley? Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. And is he cheaper and more affordable? Yes. So the 3 guys you just mentioned, the Knicks have the 3 guys that replace the production So with that being said, this Knicks team is better than the one last year, regardless of whether they lose in the first round or tie in the second round. If they get to the third round, then we know this is not an equation, but we don't think that's going to happen. But it is a tough microcosm in life to just say, yo, they went farther, so that team is not better. Your eye test, if you've been watching basketball this year and your eye test tells you that the Knicks team last year is better than this one, you need a drug test.
Okay, what you said, do you realize that what you said made absolutely no sense?
No, actually, it made a lot of sense. It actually made a lot of sense.
Listen, you brought up Deuce McBride.
Yes, who's replaced Quickly's production.
Okay, so you brought up Deuce McBride. So, listen, we would have a team that had Deuce McBride still on the team. We would have a team that had Josh Hart. You bought Josh Hart. Josh Hart would still be on the team. Emmanuel Quickly would still be on the team. RJ Barrett would still be on the team.
But we would never see Deuce
McBride would never be able to see it. So this team would have those guys that you mentioned and the other guys. This team would be a more deeper team.
But Deuce wouldn't have been able to play.
Be a deeper team. This team
Deuce was not going to
be
be able to play because there was going to be no minutes for him if those guys were there. So we wouldn't have seen. It's the truth, Patrick. Why do you talk foolish for basketball when it constitutes for you? You know what's so crazy?
It still would be a deeper team.
And I told you,
those guys on the team.
Remember when my plug got his tickets and we went to the Knicks game, the 2 preseason games? When I got his tickets for the Knicks game to sit very well, right? I explained to you that I like Obi Toppin, but what you're not grasping is the reason why Obi Toppin is not a Knick is because Julius Randle is there. And it's because the Knicks have invested $22 million in him, and because Thibodeau plays everybody 700 minutes, and because he was playing, Julius Randle has been averaging the top 8 minutes in the league the last 2-3 years. So there's 48 minutes in a basketball game. If you're playing 37 to 39 minutes, how much does your backup have to play? 8 to 9 minutes. If Obi Toppin sneezed wrong, Thibodeau put him on the bench. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that Thibodeau, when he not sold on you, you got a short leash. And for some reason, Obi had a short leash. He's not a great defender. He's not a great rebounder. So maybe those are the things that rub him the wrong way with Tom Thibodeau. So what I'm saying is, if you mad that Obi's not there, what you need to do is you need to go walk down to 34th Street. You need to find Julius Randle. You need to bop him across the back of his damn head because the $22 million they invested in him and the 38, 39 minutes is why Obi Toppin is on Indiana, because of Julius Randle. That's the real truth. And if the Knicks weren't completely locked in and sold on him, then maybe they would have made a smarter decision to keep him, but they didn't. Because for some reason, Julius Randle has a rabbi in the organization and knows something that we don't know because the Knicks are still sold on him. But we'll see how much they're sold on him this summer when they start getting fed up of paying $22 million to be hurt at April and May.
Well, that's listen, the trades was a bad trade. I said it was a bad trade. Now you see the results. That can't be argued with.
Was the Knicks going to win the finals this year? Would the Knicks have won the finals?
The trades was bad trades.
So you had the Knicks winning the NBA finals.
I said these trades were terrible trades, and now you see the dividends.
The Knicks lost to Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, and you're telling me that they were going to win the NBA finals this year.
Once again, the prophecy came true.
Let me ask you something, Prophet. Why, if you're a Prophet, why isn't anyone in your team that you like have won since 1986? I've never seen you go to a parade. I've never seen you celebrate. The Mets haven't won since '86.
That's not true.
The St. John's has no national championships, and the Knicks haven't won since 1973, which now means we're going on 51 years. Those are the teams that you like.
Okay,
so
if
you're a prophet and you're so Nostradamus, why can't you predict when the wins are going to happen?
Did you forget that I was a Giants fan?
I was able to predict when
You don't watch football no more.
Let me answer the question. let
You
me
don't watch
answer
the
the
NFL,
question.
you don't get
about
that.
the Saquon
Let
Barkley
me-
deal that go to the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the conversation for NFL season.
Let me answer. I guess you forgot that I grew up a Giants fan. So
You
yes,
did, but you don't watch the NFL no more.
I don't watch the
You
NFL
boycotted it.
anymore. But when the Giants won, when the 2011 Giants won, I was still watching the NFL, and I did go to that parade, and I went to the 2007 parade too. So yes, I have seen my teams win.
The smartest thing you did,
win championships in
the
recent
smartest
years.
thing you did as a New Yorker was to stick with the I'm sorry, Snack Daddy, to stick with the Giants over the Jets. That was the smartest thing you did, and that was the only resurrection you had. Because boy, I tell you, every other team you like, it's been drier than the Sahara. So I'm happy that you chose the same football team that I chose. I've seen them win 4 times. I've been to 3 parades personally myself. But
I was only
besides that,
so yeah.
I was there 1990, and like you said, I was there 2007, and I was there 2011 for those parades. But besides that, for as much as a prophet and a father you are, you don't know how to win with anything because you're the prophet of losing. I'm like, you know what? You're the prophet, PROFIT, not PROPHET. You're the prophet uneconomically of losing. Good night.
Yeah, and on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of Nothing But That Sports. So thank you for stopping by, Ryan Walker and Patrick Pollard. For names that just mentioned, I'm Rafiq Luzon. We'll see you next time. And enjoy the women's Final Four and men's Final Four. And you can finally take a deep breath after this conversation.
Crunchtime Saturday, 5 a.m. Brother Friday. You know the vibes already. The Voice of Strong Island is going to be there. Places where I perform at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Again,
Resurrection.
for Ryan
St. John's
Walker,
is back,
Patrick
baby.
Pollard, and his Rick Pitino bobblehead, I'm Rafiq Luzon. We'll see you next time.